I've always tried to make content, even when in the 80s when I was making content, which we didn't call it that back then. I was trying to make something that I thought we could show on television. This could be shown on television. It won't be, but it could be.
This is the Creator Podcast with Jeff and Gus. I am Gus Fink, and tonight we have Weird Paul. Isn't that right, Jeff?
That's right.
Weird Paul. He's done so many different things. Look him up. Just Google Weird Paul. You'll see a ton. His YouTube's amazing. He's the original vlogger. Welcome to the show, Weird Paul. We are really grateful to have you on board.
Thanks a lot. It's really great to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, so what have you been up to lately? Like, what's been going on? You've been really busy, it seems.
Very busy, indeed. Most people, I guess, when if they were laid off during the coronavirus pandemic, they might have just been laying around binge watching television. But I have been making YouTube videos. I think last month I made like 20-some videos, which was crazy.
That's a record, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I kind of took some time off from YouTube last year because I wanted to get a new album out. I put my last album out in 2013, and so it was like 6.5 years going on that I hadn't put out an album, and that's the longest I'd ever gone without putting one out, and I felt really bad about that. So I just kind of put everything else on hold and did that album, and then the last half of the year I did a little tour, but I also got really sick. I was sick for like over 2 months with bronchitis, and so that kind of like took care of 2019. So I came out of that and I'm like, okay, I gotta start like getting back to this stuff. But I just want to get more into a regular kind of a schedule with stuff, like put out a new album every other year kind of thing. And so like 1 year off, 1 year on kind of thing. So this is my off album year to do everything else. I'm trying to get started on all new things. I just started Twitch.
Yeah, I saw that.
I had never done. And that's great because I can't perform any concerts right now out in the real world. So it's now I have a virtual place to do concerts.
That's what you've been doing with the Twitch. It's been all like live concerts.
I did Q&A and concerts, and I feel like I could do anything on there. Anything that I'm already doing, I could transplant it onto Twitch. My Twitch is way different than anybody else's Twitch. Well, for the first reason is I use a 90s camcorder to live stream.
Oh.
So I'm not using a HD camera at all. And and somebody also told me that I'm holding my microphone. I'm holding like a real microphone, like a concert performer holds. So they said it's like a really strange, like I like to think of it as when I was a kid, I loved like just switching between all the like really weird random channels that were in between the networks and all the weird UHF stations and everything, and you'd see some really strange stuff. So I'd like to think of my Twitch channel as that. Like if people were just like going to Twitch channels, all of a sudden they see this and they're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, it's kind of like cable access channels or something, right?
Yeah, that's great. That's a good analogy.
Yeah, I used to love those, and always envied like that. I was like, that's the thing. That's how you make it.
Yeah, I feel like if you got on one of those stations, like you were some kind of celebrity. Like even if you like were on at like 3 a.m, like if you were flipping through the TV and you were on TV, like wow, look at this guy, man, he's a celebrity.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I don't think they made like a dime.
Yeah.
Right.
But so you've been really utilizing it, and I mean that's what I've been doing too, and I think that's like the best way to handle anything like this is instead of getting depressed or upset or, losing your mind, being really creative and doing as much as you can. I think that's, you kind of turn into a beautiful thing for yourself as best as you can. Yeah,
absolutely. There was times, I've been working at the mall for about 8.5 years now. And every so often I'll say, boy, if I could just have a month off of work, just 1 month off. Yeah. Think of all the things I get done, and I never thought it would happen. It's crazy, but I've had feedback from people say, "Wow, thanks, you really helped us get through this because you put up so many videos for us to watch every day and stuff." So I feel good. I feel like I helped other people too.
Well, yeah, and it's like in a sense, it's as if the entertainment industry has basically shut down for the most part.
Yeah.
and you are the new entertainment industry. I mean, you could do it through here, and it's almost like a boost when things come back. It's like you've been rocking and rolling, doing all this great content, and now you're just could keep doing it. It's like I almost feel like it raises your presence in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's a little bit of a Weird Paul buzz at the moment, I guess. More than usual.
Yeah, when did that documentary drop? I saw it on Amazon.
Yeah, well, let me think here. That was shot mostly in 2016 and finished in 2017. And then it first showed publicly in the fall of 2018.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was on Amazon 2018?
It was on Amazon in February 2019. That's when it first became available. So it's been around for a little. It's been like viewable to most people for over a year now. Yeah.
Nice. And has that changed anything for you think?
I don't think so. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think it was really, and up until last month or so, it was mostly only being viewed by people who already knew who I was, or my fans who wanted to see it. And until it became free, basically, until it became free for Amazon Prime, and now it's on Tubi TV also. Okay. So a lot of people have been watching it in the last month. I mean, I've never had seen before people like coming to my YouTube channel and say, "Oh, I just watched Bulwark Reviews, and that's how I found out about you." I'm seeing that kind of often now. So
yeah,
because of that.
Well, that's good. It's been like a little delay, but I mean, that's how I found it. It was kind of recommended to me, and it's almost like who wouldn't that appeal to? I mean, it's all kind of 80s, kind of 90s thrown together.
Yeah, I mean, it appeals to most people, except for miserable assholes, I think.
Yeah, well, it's good they exist because they make you more unique. It's like without that, you wouldn't be Weird Paul. You'd be normal Paul.
That's right. I got something to compare myself to make the distinction,
Yeah, I love it. I think it's I always say what's most important if you're gonna be around is it's not what job you have, it's not what you learn education wise, it's what kind of unique thing you can offer to people at all times. And it's like you definitely have that. I mean, it's the music, it's these creative videos, it's a personality. There's just so many cool things you could do.
I love it.
Yeah, I think you can definitely see that you have the passion for it. I saw the documentary as well, but also just in every single YouTube video you put out, you can tell that it's curated, it's planned, it's got great content. Like every single when you're showing off like the mail that you got, every piece has a little story to it, and how you feel about it. And I feel like you're really structured in that way, but then also it's zany enough that it's like kind of off the wall content as well. So how is that a balance to basically have to be that creative and to have this creative outlet, but then also stick to a structure of scheduling, recording videos, posting videos, replying to comments and that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, right now I'm like past the point of being able to keep up with it on my own. I have to say what do I let go right now? Maybe don't make any TikToks for a while, or don't post anything on Instagram right now. It's just, especially since I just added Twitch into the mix. It's like right. I can't keep up with all this. But I mean, I like to put my time into whatever is making me feel the most fulfilled, and part of that is getting feedback from people, So if I see that a lot of people are interested in it, wherever, I spend more time in that place. So I like to make content that I would enjoy. So I like to structure it like watching something. I don't like watching videos. I mean, I guess I don't know if it's insulting to say that, but I don't like watching videos where somebody's just kind of sitting there and rambling on about something. I like to watch stuff where people have already got an idea of what they're going to say, and kind of have a form, to what they're going to do. And because it just kind of gets desperate to just watch somebody going, that kind of thing. It's hard to sit through. I like
Right.
to make some. I've always tried to make content, even when in the '80s when I was making content, which we didn't call it that back then. I was trying to make something that I thought we could show on television. I thought
Yeah. Right.
this could be shown on television. It won't be, but it could be.
Well, I think that's kind of. I mean, I'm the same way. It's all the things I create for the most part. It's like I wish this existed. It doesn't. I'll make it, kind of thing. And I think
Yeah.
it gives you a little bit more passion behind it. It lets you have your own style in a sense, especially if there's something missing. I definitely think you are weird and individual. Like there's not another Weird Paul out there. I don't know if there's anything even close to it. I mean, obviously Weird Al Yankovic, but that's so different in a sense too. I mean, what do you think? Is there anyone else like Weird Paul out there or close?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, yeah. I don't think there's anybody out there crazy enough to try to do all the things that I'm trying to do at the same time. So,
Yeah. Well, like as an artist, sometimes there'll be artists that kind of copy what I do, or they're inspired, or they'll be like, people will be like, your art's just like this guy, or your art's just like this guy. So I don't know if people are always like, Weird Paul, you're just like Weird Stanley.
Yeah, Weird Stanley, definitely like that. But I have mostly, I mean, if I get any kind of comparison type thing, it's mostly about my hair. You look like this guy. You look like that guy. I mean, when I think I've heard it all, somebody comes up with something new, and I'm like, oh, wow, I never heard that one before. That's kind of interesting. But
You do kind of look like that guy. A little bit.
And it's so depends where, because now like when I get on TikTok, it's a lot of younger kids, so now I look like Shaggy from Scooby Doo mostly. But
Okay.
it's whatever. I don't care. But that's nobody out there. I mean, I've seen people say, okay, I filmed this on VHS. Look, I made a little video on VHS. But when they realize how much work it is to shoot it on VHS and then digitize it and everything, then they're like, they don't want to do it anymore. The lucky thing for me is, since I've been doing it so long, I've really got it down now to a science. Right. I can just bang these things out, and it doesn't even seem like it takes that long. I think it would take longer for me if I was using HD, because I'm not really good at. I mean, I haven't really learned how to do that. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you ever sold VHS tapes? Have you ever tried going that route?
Like, you mean?
Like you make a movie, or you make a bunch of your greatest hits, maybe it's all of your
I have yeah. Well, I mean, I made a VHS tape of this tape I did came out in 1989. That's when I put it out, and it was all like live concert performance up until that point, and like the music videos that I made for my own songs up to that point. And I still have that on my website, and every once in a while somebody will want one, but it's more of like a weird thing now. People are like, wow, I can't believe I could actually get a videotape. I could get a VHS tape, and it's 2020. It's more of that, I think, than anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, I really want this. I really want a VHS tape. I think it's just that if it's a novelty,
Well, yeah, people collect them kind of still, and like I made my first movie I directed a couple of years ago, and I wanted to put like 10 on VHS and sell them with an old art box kind of thing. So that's why I was curious, because it's if you ever need help doing that, I'm sure I could show you the right direction of who might be able to do that still today. Like get some of these made. Yeah, I know there's a fan base for sure.
There's the guys that made Will Work Reviews. One of the prizes on their Kickstarter was a VHS copy of Will Work Reviews. I think there was only 10 of them. So,
oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
You didn't get one?
I did. I do have one.
I didn't know if you collect your own stuff.
In fact, they gave me. Yeah. In fact, they gave me. They didn't give me a DVD of it. They only gave me the VHS. Kind of.
I mean, I would just assume you don't even own a DVD player. I mean, that's just assumption, but.
That's funny. I get people saying, do you own anything new? I'm like, no, I don't have a cell phone or anything.
Do you drive a Model T?
Exactly, right? I mean, yeah, I don't have any electricity.
I was wondering that. I don't know if it's a Weird Paul trade secret, but are you using digital software to edit, or are you still like 2 VCRs and a pause, like play, record button?
Oh man, that would be. I would be losing my mind if I tried to do that. I would go crazy.
Okay. No, that's kind of what I thought.
I'm using iMovie, but I use a really bad old version of iMovie. So,
Yeah, iMovie's pretty fun. So have people been sending you more packages now or less during the last few weeks?
there was like, well, here's the thing. I just had to like stop doing the package thing, making the videos last year. I just stopped doing it because I had to get my new album out and all that stuff. So the packages started piling up. I mean, there was a wall. We're talking, we're talking like, I don't know how many there were. I mean, there were multiple packages from some people. There was one person that sent me like over a dozen packages. So I mean, we had a wall of packages just sitting here. And I said, this year started, and I was like, okay, we got to get this wall of packages out of here. That's why I was like making them so fast and furious. I made 17 mail day videos last month alone.
Wow.
And so, and I just made one. The one I just finished today took me 13 days to make. It's almost 20 minutes long. So this is stuff that some people sent me, and it was sitting here like somebody sent me this stuff some of it in 2018, and it was still sitting here, like with other stuff they had sent me in the meantime. But I had packages from all of last year. I still have 2 packages left from 2019 to film before I start on the 2021s. That's how bad it was. But like there was a long period where nobody was sending anything because I hadn't made any mail day videos in a while. But then after I made 17 last month, I started to get them again. But it's still manageable right now. I think I only have like 8 or something that I got this year. So like I think I can keep up finally.
I sent you a pack of haunted cookies in 2018. I didn't know if you ate them yet. You weren't supposed to eat them. They were haunted.
Haunted?
Yeah, I'm just messing around.
Okay. Haunted cookies. Wow.
Right? That's a market.
They're dangerous.
They're really dangerous. Because you're tempted to eat them or not, and you get possessed.
Wow. It's a whole ordeal. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a franchise, a horror movie franchise in this. I can smell it.
Hey, if you want in on, I'll give you 50-50 partnership right now.
I think it's a good idea.
I like it.
I think it's called Cookie Monster.
Yeah, there you go.
Very original.
I'm seeing you acting in this now. You're like,
Starts
off, you get this package, you go, haunted cookies, and then like you're thinking about them, you can't sleep, you're a little bit creeped out, and then you just start eating, you just go for it, and then you see what happens. You eat another one.
It's real creepy.
Yeah,
I think it's evolving into a Scooby-Doo mystery. You got to watch out. Don't step into that territory.
You're right. Yeah, you got to be careful.
I noticed that you're a Daniel Johnston fan. You ever get to meet him or work with him or anything like that?
I did meet him a few times. I opened for him twice in Pittsburgh. Sweet. Yeah, around like 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. That was before The Devil and Daniel Johnston came out. So he was still relatively easy to book at that point. Promoters, small promoters could still book him for shows. Afford to book him for shows at that point. After that movie came out, that was not possible anymore. So I felt privileged that I got to open for him before that happened. And I also met him originally. I drove out to Philadelphia. I live in Pittsburgh, so it's about an 8-hour drive. But I drove out to meet him there. He was at an art gallery, and he only played 3 songs because I heard that he wasn't getting paid because it was a gallery showing for his art. So they weren't paying him to perform, so he refused to play more than 3 songs, which was funny. But I still was like, I'm really glad. But I got to hang out with him for a while. I got there really early, and there was no one else there, and I just like hung out with him in the basement for like 20, 30 minutes. So it was really cool. And not everybody can say they got to do that. I feel pretty privileged.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he passed away. I feel like, I don't know. Do you feel like you're part of that kind of scene at all? Like his work, maybe Wesley Willis. I mean, I know you do totally different style of music, but it's almost like a unique, fun market that you're one of the only remaining in my eyes that's doing that kind of stuff.
A lot of people refer to that as outsider music, and I've heard some people say, "Oh, outsider music means that they have some kind of mental problem, or something like that." And my thought on outsider music is it can mean a lot of things, but the way I feel like it applies to me is I've been putting out albums now since 1987. So it's in a couple of years, it'll be 35 years that I've been putting out albums. And I think if you refuse to stop after that period of time, even though you haven't gotten anywhere,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you could say I've gotten somewhere in the last couple of years, a little bit. I'm starting to get like noticed a little bit, but still, I mean, I'm not famous or anything. If you are not making any money, that's a better way to put it. If you keep doing something for 35 years and you're not making any money and you refuse to stop doing it, I think that makes you an outsider artist. I feel about it. You're outside of the scope of anyone even noticing you. That's how I feel about it.
But at the same time, I feel like you're growing. Your fan base is growing. You're doing more, and I think it's almost like it just took a timeline of you getting to a certain point, the world getting to a certain point, and I think it's just going to keep getting bigger. And I think the peak's going to be, really exciting for you. You were saying Daniel Johnson got booked up and you couldn't get him. I think that's going to happen with you. I feel like more and more people are going to keep discovering you, and it's going to keep spreading internationally. And I think you're going to get that credit you deserve.
It'll be a shock. It'll still be a shock when it happens, but I feel like it's partially because what I was doing is now enough time has passed that and it's kind of there's similar things that are becoming popular, like there's Stranger Things, like the 80s are popular again, and that's part of what I do, or the Goldbergs or whatever. And then also I just feel like enough time has passed where people are looking back and they're saying, well, one thing I always bring up is everybody films everything now. Everybody has a camera in their pocket, a video camera in their pocket. So it's not as strange now to see things being filmed or seeing things on YouTube. You can see footage of things. But the further back you go, the less footage there is of day-to-day life. You know what I mean? I mean, you can see news reports and things, but just people filming themselves, you see less and less of that as you go back. And if you go back to where I am, there's very little. So I feel like now that makes that more interesting because it's been that long and it's that rare because it's been 30, 35 years, 30, 40 years, it's been that long.
Yeah, there's something comforting about watching older videos, seeing the world it used to be. And I mean, I'll appreciate seeing a little tiny detail, and I know you share those kind of things. It might be a gum wrapper or something like that. And I think just those little details are still important to us, as our culture quickly changes every decade so much.
Yeah, it really does. And there's so much is swept under the rug and forgotten. And that's another thing. I feel like as time shifts, there's a lot more information about stuff that has happened in the last 10 years online because the internet existed during that time. So when something was new, even though it's old now, if it was 10 years ago, it still exists on there somewhere, but as a memory. But things from the 80s, early 90s or 70s or whatever, that's not something that was ever documented on the internet to begin with because it existed before the internet. The only way it's going to be on the internet now is if somebody brings it to the internet and brings attention to it. And that's why I want that stuff to be remembered. I wanted to get that kind of showcase, in a more permanent way that people are going to see it.
Nice. I was going to ask you, do you collaborate with people often?
Not very often. I mean, I'm thinking it's just that I give myself such a heavy workload all the time on my own. It just when somebody says, you want to do this with me or do that with me? And I'm like, I don't have time right now. My schedule is already packed up to this point. Maybe I can get back to you, but it's difficult. I also feel like the fact that if it's a video kind of thing, I'm using analog tape and everybody else is using HD. Right. So it doesn't really mesh together very well. Yeah. So it makes it harder to collaborate.
I wasn't sure. I mean, there's so many different directions you can go, whether it's, collaborate on your music.
Yeah.
Your films, it's one thing, which you kind of talked about a little bit right there, but, those two main things. And what else would you say you create heavily besides the cool, unique music? You have all kinds of different videos. Is there anything else that people aren't seeing as much?
that I create, you mean?
Yeah, like maybe
Oh.
it's paintings or who knows
Yeah,
what.
I mean, I've always wanted to get more into that kind of art. I've always wanted to paint and stuff like that. It hasn't been something I have time. I always read a lot of like bio, bios of rock stars and movie stars, and it always seems like once they like quit making music or making films, they always end up painting. So something I'm gonna do someday. But you know, I still have like a lot of content that I haven't let people. I can't say see exactly, but experience. So I mean, I have all these tapes that I recorded with myself when I was between like 9 and 13 years old, audio tapes. So I have all of this content, audio content of myself that nobody's ever heard, and
Yeah.
I have, and I also have like journals from all of my life about everything I've done, and I post those on Facebook. There's not a lot of places where you could post something like that. Twitter, maybe, but I don't really like Twitter very much. It's not a real good forum.
Yeah, it kind of sucks for creatives.
It does. So I do that on Facebook though, and I've got people respond to it really well there. I'll post my old journal entries and stuff like that. But I have like a lot of really like specialty kind of things. I've written a lot of movie reviews over my life, and that's something I put out fanzines of movie reviews at different times in my life, and I'd like to get those somehow published. And I definitely want to write my autobiography. There's a lot of projects I have in the works that I want to get to at some point.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to, you talked about you have all your old journals, and I used to write like stupid little stories and stuff that I keep in a folder as well. Obviously, I have like 4 pages, and you have binders and binders. But I wondered if you ever went back through kind of your old journals, and did the old Paul ever inspire you in the current day to do anything new or to look at something differently?
Well, there's like lots of things that I've seen written in my journals that don't always make sense, because right now when I keep my journals now, I'm very detailed about what I do, and I try not to just write something like I took a walk. I try to write down maybe like something I saw on my walk or something like that, just so I have like a little more memory, a little more information. And so every once in a while I'll read something in one of my old journals that I have no idea what I was talking about, and I'll suddenly find a connection somewhere, and I'll realize what it was. There'll be something on the internet about it or something, and I'll say, oh, that's what that was, and then it comes back to you. And I love getting that like little bit of memory back, because I see people on my videos and they'll say, I forgot that toy existed, and I had that when I was a kid, and it just brought all these memories back to me about my mom and my dad and all this stuff. And I'm like, if they get that, and that's what that's like for me when I like see some weird book that I haven't seen since kindergarten somewhere, and I'm like, wow, that just blew my mind seeing that again. So I realize what those people are experiencing when they watch what I do, So that's
Yeah,
like
it's that kind of profound nostalgia.
Yeah, and that's what inspires. That's what the young Paul inspires in me, is bringing back that stuff to me that I lost. And there's still like song ideas and stuff I wrote when came up with when I was a teenager that I never used, that I turn into songs, and stuff like that. There's nothing worth throwing away. It all could be somehow important at some point in your life. That's how I feel about it anyway.
Nice. I was going to ask you, would you say you had any weird experiences? Like, was there any weird moments that happened in Weird Paul's life?
Weird moments. Let me think. I don't, I've never had like, any paranormal experiences or anything like that. I've never seen any strange creatures or ghosts or UFOs or anything. I've never had anything happen. I have like a lot of coincidences happen in my life, which I think is cool. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Seeing something maybe like a glitch in the Matrix or nothing that extreme.
Yeah, just little things, but
Right. That's fun.
I don't know. I mean, I like to say, here's one thing I like to say is, if they ever make the motion picture of my life, that there'll be at least 3 really cool car stunts.
That's fun.
In your Model T.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I know. Well, Pittsburgh's not really known for its Bigfoot sightings, so
That's true.
it's. And I wanted to ask a couple quick Pittsburgh questions. Actually, I lived in Pittsburgh for a while. I went to the Art Institute out there.
Yeah,
I had my wife and I lived out there for a while. She actually used to work at the Exchange. She might have actually crossed paths on on Carson Street.
that's fine.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of art stuff too. I feel like we ran into each other in a thrift store at some point because we were constantly at all the thrift stores in Pittsburgh. But
Yeah.
anyway, I noticed in one of your videos you say dollar, and you pronounce it correctly, and you don't say dollar. Is
Right.
there a reason why you don't have a thick Pittsburgh accent growing up and living in Pittsburgh?
There is a reason, actually. The reason is my dad is from Connecticut,
Mm.
and so he never had a Pittsburgh accent, and my mom does have one, but for some reason I just, I took after my dad's voice, and my dad's voice and my voice are kind of similar anyway. But if you watch some of the tapes from when early on, like maybe in '84, I have a little bit of a Pittsburgh accent going on there. But I kind of just like grew out of that, or pushed through that, and like my dad, my dad didn't have that, so that's the reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I lived there only for a couple of years, and I got hit hard with it for a while. For a while, I was like, oh yeah, go up for Manny Brothers up there and get a oogie for a couple of dollars.
Right.
And my brother still lives there actually, because it was funny because when I watched documentary, I recognized a lot of like the Pittsburgh places and stuff. And I told my brother, I was like, have you ever heard of Weird Paul? Like, I feel like I said, like, in the art scene, like you're doing a lot of thrift stores and stuff like that. I feel like somehow one of our friends would have known each other. He was like, no, who's he? And it's like, I'll just Google him. He sent me a bunch of texts. He's like, he's singing about peanut butter. It's amazing. And then he was like, he's got a song about a water heater. This guy's amazing. So you got at least one brand new fan
That's
there.
right. I love that.
Yeah.
It's
And I fell in love with you as well. As soon as I found your stuff, I was like, oh my God, he's singing about amazing stuff. Like, so it's basically, I just needed to find you to be able to fall in love with you. And I think that's what it is with a lot of your fans as well. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I think that is true, and it's really hard to get what I do seen by the right people that would enjoy it. YouTube doesn't really put it in front of those people, so it makes it difficult for me to find that exposure that I need. I do think it's funny though that like you said, I've gotten fans from kind of really strange ways. I had a really strange one just the other day. It happens all the time. I can't remember the exact circumstances now, but it was somebody who was interested in just some particular thing. I can't remember what it was. It just happened to be something that I had done a video about, but it was nothing to do with me, and it was nothing to do with my music. But because of that one little specific thing that they were interested in, it just sort of opened up my world to them, and then they became interested in everything I was doing. So it's always fun when I see that happen.
I introduced you to another friend of mine as well, and he compared your music to, I don't know if you know Gigi Allen, but Gigi Allen's old stuff I think it was called Rick and Roll. I'm pretty sure it was called Rick and Roll. So, and it was like a calmer version. It wasn't crazy punk rock.
Like the Jabbers, you mean?
I'm not sure what he meant. He was saying he called it Rick and Roll. I don't know if that was just like a term Gigi fans used before the Gigi Allen stuff, but yeah, I don't know if you ever checked that out. Like, your voice reminds me of like a good classic '80s, like fun. We're gonna have a good time, that kind of stuff. I'm sure you get all kinds of comparisons when it comes to that.
I can't say I don't enjoy a lot of '80s music. I mean, I feel like somewhere around '86, that's when things started to go to shit. But like, there's a period in there where I just feel like I really like the sound of it. And it took me a while to find like the Weird Paul sound. I think the Weird Paul sound is still like just like everything, I mean, there's not a lot of bands I can say do something like that. Like, I like to change genres from song to song, like on a whole album, I'll do a metal song and then a country song and then a funk song or whatever, I just like to keep changing genres. That's like something Ween would do, or sometimes they might be Giants do that. I don't know. Not a lot of bands do that because bands are usually told to try to find their sound and stick with it, But my sound is like all the sounds. So, I like a lot of synthesizers. I love a lot of synthesizers. So that's kind of an 80s thing, you know, to have too many synthesizers. So
For
I don't.
sure. Yeah, it keeps it fun and gives it that almost Casio keyboard, you know, kind of a influence. I always loved the Casio keyboards in the 80s. You just hit the button and start singing to it.
There you go.
Yeah, I think you know, for me, like Weird Paul's all about the content of the music. Like you could sing disco to me, and if it's, you know, you're singing about, you know, peanut butter, I'll listen.
It's just
Yeah.
whatever I start singing a chorus, you know, I come up with the chorus usually first. I just start singing it, and if I say, "Oh, that sounds like it would be the chorus of a disco song," you know, then it becomes a disco. That's how it works, you know, for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to keep it creative and just kind of have fun with it rather than worry about it. You can tell, you know, you're having a lot of fun with it. If you were doing all of what you do in a serious way, where you you know what I mean, as if like you only were doing it to be famous or something like that, I think people will get a different feeling from it. But you're so authentic, and I heard all your fans saying how, you know, this is you no matter what, and that's part of the charm, I think.
Yeah, I don't like playing by the rules, I guess is a good way to put it. I mean, a good example is YouTube, because now they're instituting all these policies, and if you want your video to get seen, it has to be a certain length, and you got to write a certain thing in the description. Your picture has to look a certain way, and God forbid you don't use an HD camera. So I just refuse to play like that. You know, I'm going to do my content the way that I want it to be, the way I like it, and if that makes it so it doesn't get seen as much, well, so be it. That's okay with me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I think that's all. I mean, that's awesome that you're doing it that way, and I hope you could still pull through and like kind of get noticed as much as you deserve with all that. You know, hopefully they won't restrict things so much. It's always a shame when companies do that. They kind of hurt creatives, because I think creativity shouldn't have rules to it. So
Yeah.
it's weird when they start doing that.
And that's why Gus and I are going to start Lo-Fi Tube. It does not allow any HD videos to be uploaded at all. And so, you know, that's our big company. We're going to start that pretty soon, and I think we're going to get a lot of traction.
The investors are lining up right now.
Well, we got that cookie movie that you're starring.
That's right. That's the point, the trajectory point right there. That's the
I mean, the merchandising alone on the cookie movie is massive.
Oh man.
On the cookie.
Too much.
Rated PG.
Of course.
Got the 80s thing to it.
You can't get away with as much in a PG as you could back in 1982. Let me tell you. I mean, back in '82, I was like, oh, there's a guy's bare ass in the movie and everything. You can't see that in a PG now, so I'll tell you.
So how's the family life been? Like the day-to-day kind of life been, you know, in the past, I guess 2 months now we're at?
Well, I mean, every once in a while I go over and visit my parents. I stand in their yard and they stand on their porch and we talk. And I try not to leave the house too much. Every once in a while we go out and get some groceries because we have to eat or whatever. And but I've been staying home most of the time. My girlfriend Niffer and I go for a walk pretty much every day around the neighborhood. Luckily, we live in the suburbs where you could take a whole walk and barely see another human being the entire time. So that's good, but there's nothing to worry about there. But yeah, I mean, I worked so hard in April. You know, the first month that I was laid off, I was just constantly making content. That's all I did. And so then when I got to the second month, I said, I need to like have a little bit of fun for myself, you know, during this, because I'll be going back. I still don't know when I'm going back to work exactly, since I work at a mall and they haven't reopened yet. But so I started doing things like jigsaw puzzles, stuff I'd bought at the thrift store, you know, within a couple of years that I never even got to look at or enjoy. And right now my thing is every night I watch some music videos from the 80s that I've never seen before. So that's like that's really exciting to me, because when I was young in the 80s, I didn't have MTV, so I could only see the videos that were shown like on shows like Friday Night Videos, like network video shows, or weird UHF channel that had little video shows, but I didn't have access to see like all these weird, obscure videos that MTV was showing. So now I'm like actually able to see all this stuff for the first time because YouTube exists and because people put that stuff on there.
Dude.
That's my favorite thing about YouTube is the chance to see stuff that I wanted to see when I was younger and I still haven't seen. People say, "Oh, don't you watch the new Avengers movie or whatever?" Well, it's not that I don't want to see it. It's just that I have all this stuff that I wanted to hear and see when I was a kid, and all of a sudden it's all in front of me. Like it's like a kid in a candy store. It's all here. I couldn't hear these albums. I couldn't see these movies when I was younger because they weren't on TV. They weren't on VHS tape to rent. These albums were impossible for me to buy. I didn't have any money. And now everything's here to see and hear. I want to get to experience all of that stuff that I missed out on first before I move on.
I mean, it's kind of amazing, though, because, you know, I would definitely think watching what you do, you would think like, oh, this guy must have been like MTV. I have it and I'm obsessed and that's why I'm doing this. So I think it's really cool that you were kind of almost deprived of all of that and still it had such a huge impact on you to, you know, so early making, like, you were basically making cool music videos as a kid.
Yeah, I made over 600 of my own videos for other people's songs. You know, we would just mime to the song and saying stuff. I tried to copy the original video if I'd seen it or whatever, but that was what I did after school every day. I didn't really have any friends in high school, at least not until maybe my senior year. Some kids started to pay attention to what I was doing. They're like, "Oh, there's something weird going on over here. What is it?" But growing up, I never really had many friends, so that's what I would do after school. I'd come home and turn on the video camera. You know, that was my hobby. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome, and you know, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up either. It was sort of an outcast, and I think it kind of helps. It helps people find their own creative ways in a sense. It's not necessarily the worst thing. Like I feel like if we were really, really popular kids and everyone loved us, we wouldn't seek these other ways to be by ourselves and to see what we could make. You know, I think that's probably a huge thing for a lot of creatives.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
agree.
Yeah, so it's almost like the way everything is as crappy as is that there's jerks and no one wants to be your friend. You could use any situation just as you're using this current situation as a positive. You know, it's all how you take it and how you look at it.
Try to make the best of it. You know.
Yeah.
Come on, buddy.
Let's go.
Yeah, with the program.
I'd always hear people say like you said, if I only had a month off, this is what I would do. And I feel like there's so many people, though, that haven't taken advantage of that right now. It's almost like they were paralyzed, you know.
Yeah.
They almost, and I understand that for sure. It's like it can become paralyzing, but I think it's almost as if you want to go to the gym, but you're like, you get there and you go, I don't want to go inside there. So, but if you actually you start doing it, I think the creative muscles will kick into gear. Like, you know, you said you had your most productive month ever. So it probably makes it easier to keep going like that.
It does. And I mean, I've able to like not having like all that other stuff to worry about for a while. It's enabled me to like get on like an actual schedule. Like I go to bed at the same time. I get up at pretty much the same time. So I haven't been sick this entire time. I get sick often enough like everyone else does. 2 months and I haven't been sick at all. So, you know, it's great. That's another thing that keeps you from being creative. You get ill and you're down for a week or something. I haven't had that. I've been feeling great, healthy and alert, and it's great. I love it.
Probably because your happiness levels are probably up to a certain degree. You know, the fact that you don't have to, you know, probably go doing things that you didn't love as much as what you're doing now might have slightly impacted that, you know.
Stress, anxiety, you know.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff Brown doing the thing.
That's my colorful commentary. Yep. I had a really, really important question though. After seeing the documentary, I was a little concerned. Whatever happened to the shed in your backyard that the city was trying to get you to tear down?
The shed is still there.
Uh-oh.
Still there. Well, the insurance agency said it was leaning and it was going to fall over. So they they wouldn't insure. They were going to like terminate the insurance for my whole property because of that one thing. And so I figured the easiest thing to do was to knock it down because I wouldn't know how to fix it or keep it standing. So I figured if I just got rid of it, then the problem's gone, right? So that was my idea. But they were filming me trying to do that. And it turned out that Niffer had a friend who worked construction, and he came over, and and they cut him out of the movie. So he lost screen time. They just cut him right out. But they filmed him getting it back up. He got it straightened up again, standing straight and tall. The thing is still a piece of shit. It looks awful, but it's not falling over anymore. That's the key. Not falling over. It's still standing.
So now it's not dangerous. That's a wonderful story.
Yeah, isn't it great? Kind of like it's like a Cinderella story, man. Are you
a gamer at all? Like, is there any video games? I feel like you don't have time for it, but is there?
I mean, I grew up playing games. We had the Atari, and I played that, and I go to the arcade and play games all the time. I love playing games. People ask if you could go back in time, is there anything you'd want to do? And I always say, the only thing I would want to do is walk into an arcade in 1982 again. It was just such a great experience. But, my parents eventually, people started getting rid of all their systems. Like we had ColecoVision and television. There were all these systems. And everybody started getting rid of them at some point, and my parents would buy them for a couple bucks, at a rummage sale or something. So we had all the games, all the home systems that there were up to a certain point, up until like Nintendo put out the NES, basically. So I was playing all kinds of stuff growing up, and then then we had the NES and the Sega Genesis and everything. I don't get to keep up with all the newest stuff. It changes so quickly now, especially. There's just a new system constantly. But
like you could buy yourself a Nintendo 64 now, and you could have your mind blown in a sense. Like I've done that too. I've always used to buy systems, maybe a little bit too longer than maybe it was out for 6 years or 7 years, and it kind of felt fun because it's so much cheaper at that time, and you don't have to wait for games to come out.
Exactly, I agree. So I just don't have a lot of time to play, but I bought, if you've seen any of my thrift haul videos on YouTube, I pick up every game that looks like anything that I would be interested in, which is basically anything that isn't a sports game, because I don't really play those. But I bought every junky Wii game I could find and everything, because I just feel like if I can find these games for sometimes I get them for a quarter or something, because they're just really crappy games, but I figure I'm going to have it around, and at some point I'm gonna have fun with it. It's
cool.
If I had more time now, I would have had 2 months to just play all these Wii games that I bought.
Right, all the ones you got for a quarter. Yeah, there might be some gems in there for sure.
I'm sure there is. Eminem's kart racing or something. It's gotta be. It's gotta be great.
Is that an actual game?
Yeah, it's an actual game for the Wii.
And you freestyle rap in that? Is that what happens?
Yeah.
You're Eminem, and you have to drive a car.
That is one game I did play, because I was like, I gotta try this. Was Rock Band. I wanted to try singing along to the Weezer songs and stuff. I feel like I'm an okay singer. I could probably do this. That was fun. I liked singing into the microphone into the Wii.
Oh. Yeah, I've never tried that. It seemed that was a hugely popular thing with the guitars and everything. It kind of changed music in a sense. I always thought all these kids were masters at Guitar Hero and games like that, but could they actually play guitar at all? You know what I mean? It's they put so much concentration into that.
Yeah, the guitar in Guitar Hero is not a real instrument, so that's not. But I can tell you this: my son played this game called Flash Revolution. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's an online game. Oh, okay. My son played that, and he was able, because he was able to learn how to the hand-eye coordination of looking at what directions he had to press on the keys and everything. He was able to use that as a springboard to learn how to play piano. He taught himself to play piano from doing that, and he plays piano. I could never play any instrument the way he plays piano. I will never be able to, no matter how much experience practice I get. He's just amazing on the piano. So there are instruments you could translate from doing something like that. Playing guitar hero to playing a real guitar, I don't think that would work though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, a lot of parents back in the day would always be like, video games, they rot your brain, they're terrible. But now everything kind of is a video game in a sense. Like, if you're good at video games, you're probably better at using technology like phones and apps and all
That's a
these
good analogy.
Yeah, it's like, it's so important. Video games are everything in a sense.
Yeah.
And you could learn more tech things if you're able to play, a lot of games. I feel like it's one of the things we always have to keep up with, just so we don't ever fall completely behind. I mean, at the same time, it's awesome when there's people that go against that wave like you, where they're like, well, I'm going to do this because it's cool and it's true to what you do. And, I wonder what kind of things are going to be inspired in the future. Like, how many children today are using something that impacted you so much as a child?
It is interesting. Teenagers that get interested in what I do, whether it's through their parents or whether they just find it on their own. And because I have had some kids show me to their parents, and then their parents become fans. But I think that it's interesting that I have kids say to me, "Oh, I just got a camcorder because I saw you with it, and I wanted to get one and see what it's like." Or they become interested in VHS tapes. Or I had a friend who said that his kid kept saying, "Look, can we buy a VCR, Dad? Can we buy a VCR?" He's like, "I don't want to buy a VCR. Why would I want that?" But his kid wanted him to get one, because he saw me. So I just think that's kind of interesting, and it's fun that I'm inspiring them to be at least interested in that kind of stuff. Otherwise, they would never have had any interest in it,
And look, but those things really look cool too, and they're so tangible. I mean, I think it's this kind of sweet moment kind of thing where you don't really have that now. You download an app and you got exactly what those things were, or something, where having this big, interesting, beautiful, clunky thing, it's kind of special in a sense. I think you spend more time with it because it's there, and it's the only thing you could do. Or now you could do a million things with one device.
Sure. Yeah, very true.
Yeah, dinosaurs.
Yep. No. It definitely. It seems like a sensory overload thing with all the, you talked about it before, all the entertainment and all the content that's out there now. You talked about just catching up on old games that you have around. It's like there's 3 million more pieces of content of things that you could be doing. So it's hard to focus on what you might enjoy or what you want to watch or what you want to play when there's so much out there. So I can't imagine like now what kids are going through with what they want to spend their free time on. Yeah. It's hard for me to imagine.
Truly, yeah, I can't imagine. It's hard for me to put myself into their place. Yeah, very, very hard to see.
So what's your next big thing you're going to be doing? What's the next Weird Paul event or album, or what do we got going on?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to just see if I can build an audience on Twitch. There's definitely, it'll take me maybe some time to get there, but I can already see that Twitch would be a way to make more money than YouTube. YouTube is just very stationary for most creators, as far as they put the ad on this video and you're getting X amount of cents, per video or whatever, and it doesn't. I don't really see much of a change on YouTube month to month. It's pretty much the same amount of revenue that I get. But on Twitch, it seems like the more of a following you get, the more money you're probably going to make on there over time. So I'm moving there because I still can't make content that's just going to live somewhere on Twitch. But Twitch is a different experience. It's more of an interactive experience because you're talking to people in real time and you're taking their requests for songs or whatever. And which on YouTube people are just passively watching your content. So I think it resonates more with people too if it's something that they're enjoying it live as it's happening.
I was gonna say, have you been able to turn Instagram into some revenue for you?
No, I haven't been able to figure anything out on.
Well, I have a suggestion for you.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a two-part thing. So I think you should make an announcement that you're going to go live on Instagram. Maybe like a few days before, and maybe then have another recap. You go tomorrow or tonight. Tonight's the night.
Count it down. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you go live, but you set up in a Venmo account. So it's just like, and you should grab this one right after this call. Weird Paul. Even if it's not taken. So it's your Venmo. So everyone will go and get Cash App too. Cash App, it's just the $ Weird Paul. So grab those and just like have fun with your music and kind of flash them and go, this has been brought to you by, Weird Paul at Cash App or Venmo. And you will build off that. I almost guarantee it, because you have a nice following on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be able to build with that. Maybe you give them like a made up song of the day or something just to get people in. I think you would really see a flow of income happening with that. Especially now, since it's like, oh wow, he's giving us entertainment, new, fresh, live. I think people would really resonate that. So if you try it, I'm sure I'll see it on your Instagram. But I think I'll be right on that. I think you'll be able to pull in revenue almost instantly by doing that.
Okay, I'll look into it. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I've been self-employed for a very long time, so I'm always trying to think of stuff, and seeing other people live their dreams, it just gets me really happy. Gets me really excited. It's almost like I feel like part of my purpose is to try to help others do what they love as well.
The thing we've been trying for quite a while now to get off the ground is I have this TV show that was aired here. It was aired here in Pittsburgh, but through the tri-state area. It was on parts of Ohio and West Virginia too, and it was on actual television. It wasn't on public access cable or anything. It was on UHF, what used to be UHF. Now it was a digital station, which was in between the main numbers. And so we had that on for 2 seasons, 2 years. We had it was like 25, 26 episodes. And so we have that content that I'm trying to license to a platform or something, and we couldn't find anybody interested in it. We tried to find a place that would buy it, but I think now that things are starting to move, and the movie on Tubi and Amazon Prime and everything, I'm thinking maybe it might not be that long before we can find a home for that show. And the great thing is the show already exists. We already have all these episodes made, so.
That's awesome.
I think there's definitely an audience for it.
Yeah, I have a couple episodes on YouTube just as like a teaser, and everybody always wants to see more of them. So we're just holding out. We're holding out for the bucks. We got to start somewhere here. We gotta pay the bills somehow. So I want to make something that my what do you call it? Your people come after you in your lineage. I want to make something that they're gonna be able to still cash in on after I'm long gone.
Absolutely, that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
your great grandkids will be like, "Thank God for great grandpa Weird Paul."
Exactly.
Do it. Well, we really appreciate you being on board and coming and explaining a little bit of your story, and it's been a lot of fun. I mean, it's been everything I hoped for sure.
I'm glad. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and where's the best place for people to kind of keep tabs on all the weird stuff you've been doing? Is it just Google Weird Paul, or check out the social medias?
I mean, you can Google me, and like all of my social media comes up pretty much immediately. But yeah, I'm on everything. You have to be if you're Weird Paul. I'm on every social media there is, pretty much.
Do you currently have a Twitch schedule?
I don't have any actual schedule yet, because I actually have only done one Twitch stream so far. That's how much of it in the infancy it is right now. So I'm still trying to figure out when I'm going to do it. But I am going on Twitch this week again. So I'm just trying to like gauge, the response and when more people seem to show up and that kind of thing, and try to make some decisions for an actual concrete timeline of how it's going to happen. So.
Do it on Instagram. I think you'll love it.
Okay.
You'll love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Post when you're going to be on Twitch, because I want to check out the next live Twitch.
Okay, I will do that.
Awesome. So Weird Paul, thanks for stopping by and hanging out and letting us get to know you. It was great having you on the show.
Thanks, Gus, and thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it.